But in the hysterical aftermath of an event like this, all rational thought seems to go by the wayside, and politicians in the United States and the UK are lining up behind one another to stand with Israel's right to self-defense, switching off critical faculties. And then when it blows back in a couple of years, because we entered into a 9/11 style fervor, maybe they'll look back on this with a sense of regret. But as of now, it seems like they're just going for the emotionally charged, overwrought reaction and competing with one another for how aggressive and flamboyant they can be.
Okay, and you would agree, Michael, somewhere, before I take it to Ainar and to Raja, that the US somehow was taking the entire Middle East, the West Asia region for granted. It actually believed that it's been able to make that largely peaceful. You mentioned, you alluded towards the Abraham Accord, and there was a lot of conversation, a lot of focus on how US has been trying to broker another peace deal right now, Saudi Arabia, Israel, but clearly a lot of things have changed between then and now. Raja, before Michael responds to that question, would you begin with a condemnation against the Hamas terror group by what has happened? We haven't seen much of a vociferous posturing by Pakistan at all. Now, there are a lot of questions and a lot of concerns also about how countries like China, Pakistan, and a lot of other countries are still very muted in their response, Raja.
Deputy, I'll start with the condemnation of all of the innocent souls that have, been victims of this war, and not just the 3 or 4 days of the war. I would call it since 1947, since the conflict has started, and I think that's how it should be. And this is what humanity requires from us. Every human should be treated equally. And if we talk about Hamas is just a group, a tiny group within, of course, the Palestinians who resort to guns, who believe that guns are the only ways that can give them, a liberation from the Israelis. To me, I think there are better forces within Palestinians, voices within Palestinians. I'm talking about PLO. I'm talking about, obviously, West Bank. Population at large, they believe in peaceful solutions and they believe in dialogue. And I think dialogue should be given a time. Of course, we know that the dialogues has been taking place in past as well. I'm talking about Oslo Accord. I think Oslo Accord should have been respected from all of the sides, including Israel. But unfortunately, Israel is obviously the side that has never stopped making settlements. And then Israel is a country that has
my original plan was not to interrupt any of our guests, because this isn't a debate. It just has to be a conversation, because we have to be equally concerned about what has happened. Do you believe what happened on Saturday against Israel is barbaric? This is a thoughtless war. This is a provocation? Or are you pro-Hamas?
This doesn't make me pro-Hamas. I'm a journalist who believe in right news, not the fake news. If there is a fake news, of course, I would call it a fake news. I am seeing all of the footages coming out from there. And yes, there are reliable sources which I am believing in. But if there are unreliable sources, as there were statements coming from President Biden as well, I took it seriously. But then later on, I was, I went through another statement coming out from White House, which said that, of course, they don't have any proof for whatever the claims were made by President Biden. Same is the case with
I don't know. Are you saying the attack is a fake news? I mean, I don't understand. And sorry, I don't want to even try to attempt to wrap my head around that right now. Let me get an Ainar into this conversation.
Deputy,
Ainar, to you before we lose the link.
Deputy, when I come across
Raja, I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to come back to you. Let me also see how Ainar wants to respond to this conversation. Ainar, yes. Okay, Raja.